everyone, and welcome to the CPA Moms Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole. I am the brand ambassador of CPA Moms, and today I am so honored to introduce someone who brings clarity, heart, and serious financial expertise to every conversation. Sandy is an accomplished CFO. She has over 25 years of experience guiding multi-location companies through strategic growth and financial transformation. She is a CPA. She has a master's in accountancy and a rich background spanning healthcare, dental, nonprofit, and private sectors. She is not only known for her analytical precision, but also for turning spreadsheets into stories that help CEOs to lead with confidence. She is passionate about showing people their value through their financials and beyond. I can't wait for you to learn from her today and for me too. So welcome, Sandy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you.
Yes, we're just going to relax and have some fun. So I just love to hear a little bit about how your journey into accounting. So how you got into it, what led you to it, and then a little bit of your journey through it as well.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I got married very young because my husband was in the Air Force and we met in high school. And so it was either get married or find someone else because he was moving around the world. So we got married. I was almost 19 and I was selling Mary Kay at the time, Mary Kay Cosmetics. Yeah.
Okay.
It was not my forte, but my director of Mary Kay, we were on a walk one day, and this is in nowhere, Oklahoma, like rural Oklahoma. And we were walking, and her neighbor's house was beautiful. And I said, "Oh, that's a beautiful house." Yeah, he's a CPA. And that was the first time I had really heard the word. And it was just like a light bulb went off. Like, that's what I want to do because I love math, I love numbers, and I love business and people. And so it all just kind of just rang a bell like, yep, that's what I want to do. And because we were military and we were not always stationed where there was a 4-year school, it took me 10 years to get my degree and my license. But in that meantime, I got a lot of education and experience working various companies in the accounting department, and I've just never looked back. It's always been a calling, I guess. It's exactly where I want to be.
Nice. So I also, in my past life, was a Mary Kay consultant for a very short period of time, but that's so
Oh, thank
funny. I
you.
didn't know that about you. So talk about persistence and perseverance, 10 years. Now, during that time while you were going to school, I think what I heard was you were doing different accounting jobs, just helping you get through school. Okay.
Yeah, and I found that to be the best school there was, just experience. Because then when you go through school and you're learning the theory and whatever, you can apply it to something. So I started my associate's degree in that small Altus, Oklahoma town. And then we were moved to England for 4 years where there was not a 4-year school. So that's when I just took a breather and just worked. I worked for a company on the base that did cable TV in their accounting department. I loved it. And it's great just to experience a new culture and all that. And then we were stationed in Spokane, Washington after that, and there was a 4-year school. So I went to Eastern Washington University and finished my degree there within a year and a half after being stationed there.
Okay. I mean, really, with all that experience, the school was almost just, I don't want to say,
Checking the box.
but yes, exactly. Checking the box. Okay, now I have this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. So then what did you have an expectation? What did you expect that career to look like when you first started? And I'm sure being military and knowing like you're not just going to get a job and stay there forever is probably very different for you than some other people.
Yeah, I don't think I did have an expectation. I did not really know what it would be. Although I've always strived for high achievement, and that was probably the first time that I felt like I wasn't really doing what I wish I could. So, because the highest and best for me after graduating with 4.0 GPA and all the accolades, I wanted to work for one of the big eight at that point. And I had two children by then. And that's just not the right life for a mom with two kids. And so I couldn't, like, well, I didn't want to. In my past life, I would have wanted to, be, but two kids, it just wasn't feasible. So I started with a large regional firm, and it was a great place to be. But I really didn't have any expectation. I didn't know what it would be. Looking back at it now, it was perfect for the military wife because being a CPA, I was an auditor. And so I could go to a CPA firm in any town and get an auditing position, and I never had a problem finding a job. It was a very good decision for me, but I didn't really have any expectations. So I guess, nothing was uh, bad in that because it just all worked out and there was no expectation to crush.
Right. Yeah, and you touched on this a little bit, you know, in a past life, you would have wanted the big eight job, but at that point, you had a family, and so
Yeah,
your goals change, what you want in life changes, and it's not less than, it just this
different.
season in
Yeah.
my life that that's not feasible, and I'm going to choose my family over that career dream. And so I'm sure you've had different instances of that through your entire career. Are there any others like that that stand out to you?
There's one that, so at that regional firm, there was one woman partner. And I started, let's see, in September after I had had a baby in August. So I graduated, had a baby in August, and started in September. And that was only 40 hours a week. It wasn't even busy season, 60 hours a week. And at 40 hours a week, I was just overwhelmed. And I just thought, I can't do this. But so I went part time, which I think was also a story in my career. As a mom and working in CPA firms, part time seasonal work was always there. And it worked well for me. So I went to part time very quickly, and then of course that was went meant 40 hours during busy season, but maybe 30 during the off season. But there was a woman partner there, and it was the first busy season in Easter. And I had a 2.5-year-old, and I want it. We were working Saturdays, and I wanted to take my children to an Easter egg hunt, and of course be present and be there. And I went to the woman partner and said, I would like to, come in late on Saturday. How do I make that work? And she told me, she said, you need to understand that there's have tos and want tos in this life. And this is a want to. And you just can't do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a defining moment in my career. It
Yeah.
really was. And I guess she didn't say I couldn't do it because I did do it. I worked it out. I went. And I, of course, didn't lose my job or anything major. But I looked at her in a different light from that point because I looked at her, she was divorced, and basically just had that her job. That was all she had. She had no relationship with her children. And so I decided that wasn't who I wanted to be. And luckily for me, that was early in my career. So I could shape what I wanted to do from there.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, because I have had many conversations with women that maybe don't get that message so early in their career,
Yeah.
and they get sucked into this idea of this is the way to do it and this is what you want. And then they get there and they feel empty and like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, this isn't.
Yeah.
It was
And
supposed
the only way to do it, like there is no other option. This is how you do it.
right.
And
Yes.
yeah.
So yes, very grateful that you had that from a young, because I mean, you said that and I was thinking, when you first started it, there's have tos and want tos, and that story could have gone either way. And so I was holding on for the like your family is the have to, and that's not where it ended up.
That is not where she went with that. No,
Oh,
no.
wow. And so that's a lot of women's experience in accounting, right? And men too. Like, let's not discount,
Yeah.
the accounting industry was definitely built by men for men many years ago, but like what I've discovered in my journey is it's not just not working for women anymore. It's not working for anybody anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was one example for you. Are there other examples? Is that a recurring theme you found in your
No,
career?
I think I used that and was able to shape my career around that and was very intentional from then on to make my family a priority. And I knew that that was not who I wanted to be. And so I was intentional in not being that. So
Mm,
every time we moved, I worked part-time outside of tax season and full-time during tax season. And that's really kind of a gift because January to April, there wasn't a lot going on in my life. There's no birthdays, there's not Christmas, there's not anything major. Easter, yes, sometimes. But it was good for me. And so it wasn't really a recurring theme. I think I just used that and intentionally designed my career around it.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
from you. Yeah. So at this point, you have your own firm. So can you talk a little bit about what made you decide to do that and to take that step?
Yes. Yes. Well, let's see, we've been in Utah now almost 20 years, and I was in public accounting when we first got here. I went into private accounting. And since we've been in Utah, my husband's been retired. And so we don't have to move anymore. And that makes a big difference. I'm stable here, so I can really choose what I want to do. So I went into private accounting for a while. My favorite was healthcare accounting, and all of these are W-2 jobs. And then eventually I was working for a behavioral health company, and they wanted me to go as a contractor at 1099. And I thought, well, I don't care, that's fine. And I really loved the autonomy it gave me. It didn't really change the work I did or the product I produced at all. I'm still working the same amount of hours, but I felt more in control of my time and hiring people underneath me, which I've always loved to mentor and teach. And so that was probably the biggest, I guess I've always had people, that I was mentoring, but having my own firm allowed me to choose those people a little more diligently and kind of what I wanted to teach them, and the path I wanted to help them on. So I love the autonomy of working on my own and choosing my clients. That's another thing. There have been clients that I have fired that it's just not a good fit. Um, they're not responsive, you can't get answers, they don't pay the bill. Like, well, I don't have time for this. My time's valuable, and I choose my clients strategically. So
Yeah.
that's always a good thing too.
Yes. Yeah, I think that kind of alludes to boundaries, right? Like you have to, as a firm owner, as an entrepreneur, just set boundaries and learn how to keep them. Or, I mean, your time can so quickly just be trampled. Like people will call you, text you, email you all hours of the day, night, sometimes even.
Yes,
So setting those boundaries, in my opinion, it was one of the game changers in my
yes,
journey. Is just setting them, but then also again standing by them and enforcing them. And it's just teaching people, right? It's
right,
teaching them, no,
right.
that's I'm not gonna do that.
Not available right now. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean, with that, there's so many mindset shifts that have to happen from when you're transitioning from employee to entrepreneur. Can you speak to some of those that you had to go through?
Yeah, I guess the biggest part would be the marketing piece, trying to find your clients. And I didn't find that very hard because I see marketing as really a people connection and a relationship. It's not finding somebody that'll pay me, it's connecting with people. And I do that well anyway. So the marketing has not ever been hard. But you have to do it now instead of you don't have a paycheck if you're not doing it. So, um, shifted it a little bit, but it's always been fairly easy for me to connect with people and gain their trust and that kind of thing. So, um, just the fact you had to do it for a paycheck now, is was a shift. Um, I really loved working from home. That was a big shift, and I did that pre-COVID. I've been working from home 10 years now remotely, and that was awesome. And I work more from home. You don't have commute time,
Yep.
you don't go to lunch. I am much more productive from home. So that was a shift as well, and I've loved that part.
Yeah.
I am beginning to shift out of that after 10 years. I call it professionally lonely. Like I need some breathing people around me. So I'm doing more in-person networking and things now to get some human interaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I one of the things with the shift working from home is again the boundaries and then scheduling is so important because you can get sucked into anything.
Sucked in.
You go grab some water and then, oh, the laundry needs folded and it can go that way, but it can also go the other way as
I go the other way.
most
I
people
go
do.
the other way. Yeah, I when I sit down here at my desk, I get sucked in
Yes.
and I am very attuned to the details, as probably most accountants are, and I just get sucked in. And then things are going on behind me, and I don't even know that it's there. So I have to set boundaries that I am going to quit at 6 o'clock or whatever. In fact, I intentionally put things on my calendar. I intentionally schedule fun because if it's not on my calendar and popping up on my computer, I might not do it.
Yes. Yes. That was definitely a major shift for me. Like I schedule every little thing that needs to happen in my life, including like play with my boys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but if it's not on my calendar, it's not in existence, it's not going to happen. So,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's just as important as the tax return that needs to get done, or more,
That's right.
say more so.
More.
Yes.
More. Yeah.
Yep. So are there any systems or habits that have helped you in, the business aspect of it, running the business, or just in managing life?
I would say my Outlook calendar, what we're just talking about, having that scheduling system. Um, can't really think of any, just a mindset that this is a job and, every day, 8 to 5, I'm working, pretty much. So just the kind of mindset, it's not there's no leeway in that. It's a job and I treat it like that. Um, but yeah, systems, I'm at first when I started my own firm and some of my clients were on QuickBooks. I came from corporate accounting where we had larger NetSuite, big e-
Yes.
enterprise systems.
Right.
And I felt like QuickBooks was beneath me. Like, oh yeah, I don't use QuickBooks, you can edit it, the audit trail's not good. And so I had to get rid of that uh, incorrect thought, limiting belief with QuickBooks. And I did QuickBooks Desktop for a while, and then when the big switch to online, I didn't want to do it. I just refused for a little bit, and then finally, okay, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and learn the new thing. Which before that, I've always been happy to learn the new thing. In fact, I usually bring the new thing to the firm I'm in. Like, oh, you need paperless audit software. Let me implement that. But the QuickBooks shift was probably a system that now I love. I know it. It's just a matter of not knowing it and not comfortable with it. And it takes more time than I wanted to spend.
Yep.
But now I'm a QuickBooks lover, and that because I know it, that's where I direct my clients. But I also love implementing systems in larger companies too. I just love all technology, honestly.
That's so funny because I don't feel like that is something that I have acknowledged or talked about in any way, but I definitely had that same mindset
Yeah,
coming in like, ew, QuickBooks? What?
QuickBooks.
No.
Yeah, yeah,
Give me some real accounting software,
right.
please.
Yeah,
Which isn't feasible for a lot of small businesses,
that's
right?
right.
It's
That's
just
right.
silly, but yes, I totally had that same thing. I had to
Well,
just
and
get
especially
there.
as an auditor, for me, as an
Right.
auditor, the audit trail, you can change things in QuickBooks
Yep.
way too easy. And that's where my limiting belief was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I'm a CPA. I can check it. It's much easier for somebody that knows what they're doing. It's easier to manipulate it and get the right number. Whereas users that might not know what they're doing manipulating it, that's not a good story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of nightmare
Between that,
stories
had
with
to
her.
clean that up.
We could do a whole podcast cast episode on that for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So where would you say that you have found the most support as you've gone through your journey with your accounting firm?
Well, CPA Moms is definitely one place. I have a great relationship with Mayumi, and she's a mentor of mine. Um, and other support. Just I still am very good friends with the boss of that first regional firm that I was hired into. And we have a close relationship, so we talk often. She's actually now a financial planner, and so she does my financial planning. And so we have a personal relationship that way, but then also mentor each other. So I've had that throughout my entire career. Um, and I would say that I don't think I have the support in the last 5 to 7 years that I probably want. So when I used the term professionally lonely, I am working from home. You tend to isolate. I'm sucked into my computer. I'm not around people. So I am intentionally this year getting out and interacting with people more, and finding that support a little bit more now than I have in the most recent 5 years.
Okay. Well, good for you for that, for
Yeah.
recognizing that. Mm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we
then,
need people.
right. Yeah. And that's part of the different seasons in your life too, right? And
Right.
kids are at home and keeping you busy, and it's not that you don't need people as much, but it's like my life is so full anyway with that. And then you transition to them getting out of the house, and then that's a whole nother level that you have to get used to and adjust
Yeah.
for. And so if there was a younger Sandy listening to this podcast, getting ready to launch her firm, what is something that you would want her to hear and embrace?
I think the imposter syndrome theory, I think everybody has it,
Yes.
and we need to realize that, and realize that you're always learning. Um, I when I was first out of college, I was very confident. I was a great student, so I've always had the accolades of being a great student. Then you get out into the world, and there's some knockdown drag outs, especially in the accounting world. You've got clients that you're serving, or even other employees within your organization, and you just get beat up a little bit sometimes. And just to realize that you're not perfect, you're always learning, and give yourself grace through that. Uh, that's probably the biggest thing. Just I remember my very first job, in fact, with that friend of mine. She was my boss, and the first thing she gave me was a trial balance. And I was supposed to put the trial balance into the audit software. And she said, well, of course, assets are first, and then liabilities, and then equity on the balance sheet. And I'm straight out of college, which intuitively I probably knew that. I had never really articulated that or seen it. And it just hit me, her obvious comment. Well, obviously, assets are first, and it hit me like, wow, I never really realized that. But there's moments like that throughout your whole career, like just little things that you're continually becoming awake to, like, oh, yeah, and just having grace that you're not going to know everything. But I started to say, as I came out of college, I had a lot of confidence and knew that if it can be done, I can do it. If I may not know how, but I can learn. Someone can teach me. And if it can be done, I can do it. And I think I lost that over the career and the ups and downs of promotion and whatever. And I wish I had kept that throughout my whole career because it's very true. If anybody can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And you just need the experience to be able to do it.
Yes. Yeah, that was something that Mayumi and I talked about not too long on the podcast about just the confidence. And once you have that, like it just opens up the world because just as you said, like you can figure it out. And once you
Yeah,
realize, like, look at all the things in my life that I didn't know how to do that I learned or I figured out. And
yeah,
that's all anything new is just learning it and then doing it. So.
yeah, yeah.
Well, to close us out, if you could share one thing that you have learned along your accounting journey.
I've learned that accounting is more about people than it is numbers. And I think that's why I love it so much because it's, human relationships are important to me. And yes, I get to do the numbers but the relationships with my clients and fellow employees and the people in my life are the most important thing. And just always focus on that, the people in your life.
So true. And I dare say that that would probably be one of the things that your clients say is what they love about working with you.
I would hope so. I definitely hope so.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was great seeing you again.
You too. Thanks.
Okay, see you later.
That is it for today's episode. At CPA Moms, we believe women can have a successful career and raise a happy family. If you are ready to embrace work-life harmony and connect with like-hearted women, then join our CPA Moms Facebook community. Just click the link in the show notes or search CPA Moms on Facebook. We can't wait to welcome you. Until next time, thank you for being here. We see you, we believe in you, and we can't wait to grow with you.